that it may seem dark right now, but you're not alone. The reason why it's dark right now is because you're not being buried alive, you're actually being planted.
Wow, we would have never believed this. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Lunch Break. We're here with Justin
Hello.
and Mike.
Yo.
Today we have the infamous Justin. We got to know each other a little bit beforehand. We went to an awesome coffee shop called Adventure Awaits here in
It's a date.
Bakersfield. Amazing. Justin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
He's got 4 names.
I do. It's Justin, Jeff, Janante, Jacob.
Yeah. And all of them are first names except for one.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Imagine you see one of those Coke with a name and it says Janante out of nowhere.
Right? That'd be cool.
What do you do? Can you tell
Your
us
phone
a
or
little bit
friend?
about what you do? I know you sell coffee. Can you tell us a little bit about how that started and what got you interested in even selling coffee in the first place?
Well, I used to work with the coconut company. It's called Kokomu. And I recently got let go of that job. Don't get me wrong, it's such a godsend. It's just God's way of saying you got too comfortable. So God pulled me out of that job to make me uncomfortable. And I reached out to one of my friends in the farmer's market, and his name is Frank. Lovely guy, always wears a bowler hat. Shout out to you, Frank.
Oh, that's
And
cool. What's Frank's full name?
Frank Schipani.
Shipani. Okay. That's like an Italian name or something.
He's Italian and he's
Okay.
also in New York, so we always make
Oh, okay.
make
He's a New
jokes.
Yorker.
New Yorker.
And what's the company?
It's called Three Hats.
3 hat, but he only has one.
He has 3, but different. He works at different days.
Oh, okay. Got it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of deal.
Kind of like that, yeah. Yeah. So I always joke around with him with the whole New York stuff, like, hey, how's the pizza? Because they pride themselves in pizza.
And coffee.
Coffee too. That's why I caught 3 Hats Coffee.
Okay, there we
And I
go.
also made like this dark jokes, like, oh, do you wear the wife beater shirt? Oh my gosh.
Is he in the mafia for real though?
I wouldn't be surprised. But
But he lives in LA.
But overall, he's a great guy. He's definitely chill. He wants to listen. How can he be better? How can I trust this person? Because he's the type of guy who wouldn't just hire anyone. So I was surprised that I asked him and I immediately got the job. So I
Must
feel
have
like
known you somehow.
he
To a degree.
he liked my pretty eyes. I'm joking,
He
but
wanted to ask you on a triple date too.
probably. But 3 hats. No, but
Triple date, 3 hats. You know.
what's funny, I actually had a vision of someone prophesied to me, hey, I see you as someone who wears many hats. So
Wow. When was that?
that was like a year ago. This prophet said that, and he said, you are a leader, you're a businessman, you're a minister, you're also, what's another one? You're also a creative. And that's where it sparks.
All of those things are true.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
that's cool. And was that at Awaken Church?
No,
No.
it was a church in LA. It's called Firehouse Ministry,
Okay.
led by Gershom Sakala.
Okay. Never heard of it.
He's Black Panther's pastor.
Okay. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Great guy
Okay.
overall.
Black Panther as in like the movie guy, or
Wakanda
Black
forever.
Panther as in like Malcolm X?
Wakanda forever.
Okay, got it. Oh, okay, different Black Panther.
But overall, he didn't care how you look. He just basically just wants to show God's love, saying, hey, you can do it too because
Yeah.
God loves you. And we're meant to step over scorpions. We're meant to step on snakes. And we're always going to have challenges. And he sees the spirit world in such a different way. It's like, for us, it's like horror films. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, it's scary. Demons coming after me.
So tell because I know, right? Tell people watching a little bit more about your life. Because you're in your business J4.
J4 Media.
4 J's.
Yep.
Justin, Jeff, Judante, Jacob.
Jacob, yes.
I
You
said
got
it
it.
wrong. I can't even pronounce it in the English word.
You actually did well than most people. You're like the 5 percentile.
I knew I was special, but not in that way.
Oh man. Oh man, get out.
Right? Okay, so you got J4 Media, right? Is J4 Media, is that media or what is it?
J4 Media, yes.
J4 Media, got it right. Right on.
So
All right, and then you do some other stuff, but tell us about where you are at right now.
well, where I'm at right now is a season of uncomfortability,
Yeah?
in which I had to figure out stuff in which I never actually threaded this kind of waters before, like losing a job out of nowhere. Not just that, too, like being short on money, and that's just the enemy's plot of saying, "Hey, you're not worth it. Just give up." But you know what? You got to realize, take a step, take a breath. It's like, what are you thankful for, and who's gonna be there for you?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the cool things about being in that season, and I remember that season my wife and I were in, years ago before we had kids, probably like early marriage. And you can still enjoy being in that season, which is cool. Like being like, hey, I have nothing. But like what's funny is my wife and I talk about all the time, like looking back, hey, remember when we were just completely like broke, poor, had no money? And it's like there's a difference between being broke and poor. Like broke is I don't have money right now. Poor is like I have no prospect of making any money, like real substantial money in the near future, right? So I would say like you might be broke but not poor because you have opportunity to make substantial money in the near future. But that said, I think it's cool because that's a place where God can really tremendously use you and mold you and put you in position. Like when you get into areas where you're making 150 grand a year, these golden handcuffs, and you don't have as many options as people like to think you do.
Yeah, that's what people always say. It's like, oh, you're making so much money now, but why are you comparing someone's chapter 8 to someone's chapter 1?
Right. You compare your beginning to someone else's middle. That's what we talk about all the time, right?
Exactly. Like,
But you also have the privilege of being around a lot of really godly men that are also godly businessmen.
exactly. And they've been great. They've been leading me. It's like, hey, I feel like you should do this. Like not into like a judgmental micromanaging way, but
Right.
more into like, hey, I love you and you need to hear this
Yeah,
because I care about you and I want to see you succeed.
that's cool. Anybody specific you want to give a shout out to on
Yeah,
that?
sure. The one who's definitely helping me build this business is shout out to my boy Justin Mena. And
We love Justin Mena.
yeah, he's such a hoot.
Yeah, we're working on some projects with him right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So continue on though, with where you're at right now.
So just in that season where you just feel like hopeless, but God didn't just leave you out of nowhere, leave you out to sin. He made like an escape plan for you. Like imagine like like you ever seen the show Prison Break? God's definitely that guy who's like, hey, I'm gonna get you out of this funk. I'm gonna hatch a plan, the perfect plan to get you out of prison. And that prison is the season you're in.
That's actually a really cool example. Like when you think about it, for anybody who hasn't seen Prison Break, it's a pretty cool show actually, I think. But God comes into that prison with you and walks alongside of you to bring you out of it,
Exactly.
right? Which is the plot of Prison Break, but. And not that character necessarily would compare to God.
Oh
but,
my God.
Right. but saying like it's a good metaphor.
It's like Jesus going thug.
Right.
I'm sorry, Jesus.
But let's take us back to early childhood and like kind of the journey along the way.
Well, growing up, I was always a peculiar kid in the Philippines. Like so peculiar that no one understands what the words I'm saying. They could not relate. I cannot.
Peculiar how?
Peculiar as in like I just speak differently, things outside the box, bizarre, like full of energy. Like people just see it as a way to just find insult. And not just insult too. I'm pretty sure it's not just insult. They're insecure.
Yeah.
Insecure.
Yeah, it is.
Insecure in which like, oh, you have all those stuff, but what do I have? Like it was so bad. Like kids started bullying me. Even a crippled girl bullied me.
Really? Wow.
She, I was not even paying attention to what she's saying, so she started hitting me with her crutches.
Okay.
I remember how painful that was.
Jeez. Man. I can sense that still kind of stings a little bit.
I wish I could have told her, I'm just gonna walk away.
Right, but seeing like those characteristics back then, like it was like no, you were born different for a reason, for a purpose, for a calling, which you're walking into now. But you also had characteristics of an entrepreneur from that early age, right? Because all of those describe to me an entrepreneur.
How I see it more is like it's a book. You're in this tiny shelf and you
Yeah.
just don't fit in. The reason why you don't fit in is because you're meant for this greater library
Yep.
in which you're relating to this type of books that which fits you in.
Uh-huh.
And that book is the godly books.
Yeah, that's cool. And so that was your youth, right? But then at about 10 years old, you came over to America.
Yes.
So how did that happen? Why did that happen? And then let's go there.
I grew up with my dad almost absent because you got to realize why is this man not in my life? And the reason for is he's in America working for us. Like as kids, we require a dad figure,
Yeah,
dad figure
of
to
course.
show us, hey, what are the ways of life? If you can't find that, someone else is gonna mentor your kids, not just mentor them, probably ruin the way they think about life.
Yeah, absolutely. I talk about that with my wife all the time. Is and we're very proactive in my family with our kids, and we talk about things that probably a lot of parents are afraid to talk to their kids about. And I'm like, look, yeah, I don't want to be talking to my kids about some of those subjects, but if I'm not having the conversation with them, who is?
Exactly. Someone else would, and they would twist the words.
Yeah.
They would like. There's people who's already twisting God's words.
Oh yeah, every day.
Like everything good gets perversed. So you gotta be that straight arrow for your kids to lead them to how to be a man of God or a woman of God. How can you follow the true father? Like the reason for my dad's not there too, and when I met him, he's quiet. He's a little reserved, and the reason for it is his generational curse that he dealt with as a kid. There's this analogy I shared with them earlier is imagine this person wrapped in chains and all they can move is this little finger. That finger is the way they say, I love you. And that chain is their generational curses that was inherited to them by their parents.
Wow, that's good. That's deep. That ministers to me, actually.
So now I'm trying to understand, I love you, Dad. How can I be there to support you?
Yeah.
How can I be there to help you break this chains? Like this man legit got abused as a kid. He 11 years old, his dad passed away. So he didn't have a fatherly figure to tell him, I love you, to tell him, hey, you matter. So that got passed on to me. I was seeking that affirmation from him, seeking that I love you, and not realizing that other people were actually speaking death to my life, and that started manifesting.
Wow. How so?
Like I started believing what they said, like, oh, you're not worth this, you're ugly, you're disgusting, you're all the negative words. So that's something I realized I carried through years before meeting God is we're all wearing this sweaters with different titles like ugly. We just keep putting that on. And guess what happens if you put so much sweaters? You're going to suffocate through all those identities that you took upon. So it takes one identity, and that one identity is child of God. And he's going to wrap you around in his robe. And that's his signature right there. That's his perfume. He's marking you because that's your true identity. And once you realize your true identity, all this stuff, you'll be refined into a royal man, royal mighty man that burns away all those identities. Like you're not worth it, in which you are. You're valued and loved by God.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more about your journey, kind of like the father, your earthly father, and the relationship that you had with him, and how that shaped your relationship with God, your father now. How did that affect the process of trusting God to be your father and the provider of your life? Like, especially now that, you're in this season of discomfort. How did that shape your current relationship with God, being your father now, your spiritual father?
Well, with God, I believe hope. Hope is the word to say. Because before then, I would just try to find other ways to fill in the gap, fill in the gap in my heart. Like imagine this puzzle piece, like it's your heart, and there's like that missing piece. The missing piece is Him. That's a vision that came to me. Like that's why I wanted to design this cool little necklace. Imagine like a little puzzle piece, and there's like a little cross. I feel like that jewelry will relate to a whole bunch of people, because once you find that missing piece, nothing else can steal your joy. And regarding the whole father thing is having God as your father. He's your comfort, your your dad that's just wants to play catch with you when you're crying and your lowest. He's that the warm, overwhelming hug that you just need. Like it's you don't know your true love until you actually know His love, especially in your broken state. That's why God's led us through the season, because we're broken. Led us through the desert season, so we can learn that it's Him that we need. There's no one else that we can lean on, because people are gonna fail us. Even our own family, our friends are gonna find a way to fail us. They may seem like the most loving person. Don't get me wrong; they probably are, but they're God's gift to you. Those relationships, so cherish those relationships, because those are God's gift.
We were talking earlier about some of the things that you've had to overcome, including limiting beliefs and a couple others. But let's start there, right? Limiting beliefs, and how are those kind of hitting you, and how are you dealing with that?
So like as the whole identity thing starts to become like a flow chart in which like per se I'm not worth it. You're gonna start seeing that flows into different aspects of saying like, oh, not valued enough, you're not worth it, you shouldn't even try. Why are you taking on this big client even though you don't have the skills to do it? So that's mindset flows. So we gotta root back to the beginning, which is what is the cause of all this? It's still a string attached to that past identity, that past sweater, which is value. That's why I took on the word value this year, is to try to find value in myself through God. And I constantly do have to remind myself that.
So what are you doing to overcome it?
Overcome it, like one of the ways I do is in the morning, I say, I am valuable enough. I'm told this and that. Sometimes I do have to call a friend in which I don't feel, I feel like at my lowest, because those friends are God's, as I said earlier, God's gift to you.
It's a support system.
Because
you know what, that's a great point. And I want to take a minute to like underline that, right? Because God's put people in our lives. For you and me, some of them are the same people, right? For me and Abby and me and Nathaniel, simultaneously, some of them are the same people. And a lot of times we hesitate or don't want to reach out to them for whatever reason. A lot of times it's because, oh, well, what are they going to think of me? Or they're going to think I'm not strong enough, or they're going to think, this or that about me, which is really kind of silly in a way, because like, I know, like, I want to be there for my brothers, which, Justin, like, you're always welcome to call me too, bro. But I want to be there for all of my people, all of my family, all of my team, Abby, Nathaniel, Alex, all of them. And, like, I would never, like, let me ask you, would you ever feel that way if I reached out to you and said, hey, bro, I'm struggling with this. I'm not feeling, like, worthy or whatever, right? Like, you're not going to judge me. You're going to sit there and, like, probably, like, have some heart hurt, relative for me, right? So I'm not trying to make it about me, but like we have that for our brothers. Like I know if you ever reach out to me, I'm like, man, that sucks. I'm gonna pray for you, and that's that's the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pray for you, and I want to lift you up and encourage you, and simultaneously, like the devil wants to isolate us, right? And that's his number one trick. But we can't live this life alone, and we can't live our Christian walk alone. We do so much better in community, and a community is there for a reason. And if someone's going to do that to you, which first of all, like 90% of people wouldn't anyway, but if they're that person, they don't belong in your life, right? That said, I think, at least for me, I consider it an honor when someone reaches out and
Yeah,
asks for.
definitely. Yeah. I actually, this is a great topic. I recently just watched a TikTok of a guy. He's from Italy, and he was kind of he was responding to a comment on one of his videos. I don't really remember what it said, but he was talking about how in American culture there's this like really toxic independent mindset where we kind of just rely on ourselves and like we do everything on our own, like finances, and I mean even with when things get hard in life. And so he was kind of going on about how in Italian culture the way that they're raised is through community. You have like a family member who you call when you're having a rough day, and you have another family member who maybe teaches you to cook, or you have another family member like or a friend or someone who you grew up with. And I just thought it was really interesting because I've noticed as like in our culture there's just this hyper independent mindset where like we have to do things on our own, and so we can see how the enemy has definitely like just has gotten a hold of like a whole generation and has really implanted this lie in our mind that like we have to do everything by ourselves. And I've even done that too, but like can you kind of talk about how maybe you overcame that, like just the mindset of like I have to do this by myself, or if you ever did struggle with that, how did you get to the point where you're like I need a support system and I need people to survive, and I can't just do this on my own.
Well, it started off in the Marines. Don't get me wrong, I was still reserved because from my past hurts, like I shouldn't trust people.
Right, yeah.
But the Marine basically said, it's like you're not meant to do everything alone. So that's why when you lose yourself in the Marines and you get punished, you don't just get punished alone. You get punished together. That's what creates a bond.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about the whole TikTok thing. It reminds me of imagine doing things alone. What if you have community that would have hastened the process of your success? Like people brags about I did it all alone.
Yeah. There's definitely that like phrase of I did it by myself, or like self-made, self-made billionaire, self-made independent woman, whatever. There's just this like phrase where people are like I did it by myself, but I mean with every job, business owners, cashiers, and whoever, entrepreneurs, artists, they all, you need a team, you need people in order to accomplish this one goal. So yeah, definitely I see that a lot in our society. So that I think it's incredible that through the Marines, or it was the Marines, correct? Yeah, that I didn't know that. I didn't know that if someone gets punished, the whole team gets punished. I do remember that as a kid, you know, like, oh, well, I did something wrong, so now my siblings have to suffer for it. But yeah, that's great.
It's because you don't want to disappoint them as well. Because what's more important is not how you feel, it's how you feel about others. I get like it's a sense of chasing validation to others, but it's not that. It's because you guys are a family. How can you serve a mission if you guys are not aligned with each other? Just like how we met earlier, like 3 hours ago, we got to connect, and now it's going smoothly how we're speaking.
Right. How do you think that we as a society can take steps to kind of change that? Because that is a big mindset that we have, and so many people really struggle and are having problems kind of getting out of these really dark places because they don't know how to reach out or even know how to comfort people. How do you think that we can like take steps to help each other and change that? Because I do think that change starts with one person, and then it's like a ripple effect. So
I think it's through your actions. It's because how you represent yourself is people's gonna be asking. It's like, hey, how come you're always happy towards this sad moments? It's like imagine your God sprayed his perfume on you, his cologne. So what they smell to you, the essence is God itself. They're gonna be questioning like, how are you remaining joyful? So that's when that's your opportunity to minister, not just minister, to say I didn't do it alone. I did it because I have people that God sent as a blessing to push me up, and I'm also doing the same things for them. I'm pushing them as well, and also tell them like that your success is just one pillar. Success is overall a lifetime challenge, because there's success in money, success in relationships, success in athletics, success in your mental. There's basically it's
Family.
pillar of lives.
I see kind of two different areas of that. I see like one is pride, like, oh, look at me, what I accomplished on my own,
Yeah,
right? Well, actually,
definitely.
you never accomplished anything. You never accomplished anything entirely on your own,
No.
right?
Yeah.
No matter what. Like,
Yeah.
do you think I do any of this by myself? No, like I actually do very little of it. You guys do all the hard work. But the other side is like, again, it goes back to like the biggest trick of the enemy is to isolate us, right? So social media isolates us. Like all of this new AI stuff. Like I think it's important to say, don't let technology control you.
Yeah.
Control the technology. It can be used as a tool, or it can use you as a tool,
Yeah.
right? But the devil will try to isolate us, and he does a pretty good job with that. He did that really hardcore in 2020 and for a
Yeah.
couple of years there, and a lot of people got really messed up over it.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
But then the other thing that I see is people are afraid to be weak, right? Because if I reach out for help, they're going to think I'm weak or think less of me or whatever.
Yeah.
The truth is, it takes way more strength to be weak than it does to put on a facade of strength.
Well, it's vulnerability,
Yeah.
and vulnerability is a strength. It shows that you can be real with people, and honesty and truth is like being like transparent.
It takes
That's
way
hard.
more confidence
that
to be
takes
vulnerable and
guts.
transparent.
That takes
There's
so
stuff,
much.
yeah.
So that takes guts, and yeah, it's true. A lot of people. That is definitely one of the bigger ones that I hear from friends, where it's like, why didn't you say anything?
Yeah.
Well, I was scared that you would think this. It's like, what? No, like, no. If anything, that makes me concerned for you, and it sucks that you view vulnerability as a weakness, and I mean, yeah, that's just another
Right.
toxic
and again,
mindset.
going back to that, like, I want to encourage like anybody out there, like share, right?
Yeah.
Talk to somebody, talk to us, reach out to us if you need help, reach out to Justin. But also, if you reach out to someone and they do reject you like that, 9 times out of 10 they're not, or 99 times out of 100 they're not. They don't belong in your life anyway.
Yeah.
And be ruthless about cutting people off. How many times have I told you that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but like, I think if somebody tells you that you're weak for being vulnerable, that's just a lie. And don't give up either. Being vulnerable with people, you will
Yeah.
find people who
That's right.
who can accept that vulnerability, who are mature enough. And if someone rejects you for being vulnerable, that has nothing to do with you. It has to do with that person. So please, like, just talk to someone.
It reminds me of this one passage in the Bible where one of the disciples asked Jesus who would be the first in heaven, right? I'm butchering it, but he said the one who is the lowest, who is the weakest.
That's pretty close. Pretty close to the scripture there.
Yeah. Well, you said earlier, like, the God meets us at our darkest times, and it's not when we're up and high and above and happy. It's when we're at our lowest in life, and when we're in that discomfort and we need him. That's when he shows us his strength, and that's when his true power can really be in full effect, is when we're kind of down here. So.
That's why I believe the enemy is such an amazing Hollywood technician, Hollywood special effects person. It's because they're so talented at making you believe something that's a lie.
Yeah.
So, Justin, as we're starting to kind of wrap up the show here, what do you want to leave people with after this conversation?
Just want to lead that it may seem dark right now, but you're not alone. The reason why it's dark right now is because you're not being buried alive. You're actually being planted. And not just planted. Those tears you're shedding right now is what's watering the soil of you and probably other people too. it's where you find other people to tend their garden, in which they can tend your garden. And it's through his grace, his light, that will help you grow into the person that is purpose driven, that is following God's will. And I'm not gonna lie, it is gonna be a challenging, because growing is painful. You're gonna lose a lot of branches, which is like your friends' relationship, houses, who knows.
Yeah.
But you're gonna grow and you're gonna blossom more.
Cool. That's a good word. I love that.
Yes, it's amazing.
So, why don't you tell people where they can find you? What social media or whatever you want them to follow you on, and then go ahead and mention your podcast too.
Okay. Oh, so you can find me on and my main Instagram is Justin JJ Jacob, 4 J's, you know.
Yep.
And I do host a podcast in which I interview people regarding their testimony through Christ, because not all testimony is going to touch everyone. I want to interview people with different testimony, in which not just myself can learn, also other people, to see if they encounter a person dealing with that problem. You could be that source of hope for them.
Yeah, and you have all those links, Abby, to put up.
I do, yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Do you want to add anything, Abby, before we close out?
Well, I just want to thank you for your vulnerability, because I mean, we talked about that earlier. It's like vulnerability takes strength and boldness. So I do want to thank you very much for just keeping it real. And I can definitely see the wisdom that God has given you through the struggles. And so, I really appreciate your vulnerability. It means a lot. And I'm sure people who see this, it's going to speak to someone. And I pray that it does.
Yeah.
So.
And Justin, I want to thank you for being here on the show.
Yeah.
And I want to thank all of you guys for watching. Have a great day. God bless.
Bye.